Welcome to Throwing the Jab with your host Willie Needham. In this video series, you will learn how to start conversations with a non-believer about Jesus Christ. You will learn how to become a heavy hitter for the gospel, and most importantly, how to fight until the bell rings. Alright, welcome to this week's episode of Throwing the Jab. Today's question is going to be about Jesus. You know, the typical Sunday school answer that you always hear. Jesus? So, here's the question. Since Jesus was tempted, doesn't that mean that he is imperfect? Or that he has some sort of weakness? And this isn't even a question that I hear from atheists. I actually hear this question from other religious groups who claim to be following Jesus. The first time I was ever actually asked this question was by a Jehovah's Witness. You see, they don't understand who Jesus really is. They believe Jesus to just be some angel, whereas Jesus is actually the divine Son of God. A part of the Holy Trinity, God in three persons, he is the Son. But before I go too far into Trinitarian deep theology, which is enough to make any Christian's head spin, let's focus in on why people want to ask this question. So, the biblical topic that they're referring to when they ask this question is in the New Testament, specifically in 3 out of the 4 gospel accounts. You can find it in Matthew chapter 4, Mark chapter 1, and Luke chapter 4. All 3 of those accounts give some sort of account of the time when Jesus spent 40 days in the desert being tempted by the devil. He went without food and without water for that entire time. And he was completely alone in the wilderness. Just him and the devil. And he was asked 3 different questions. If you are the Son of God, then command these stones to become bread. And then he was taken to the very pinnacle of the high temple, or the highest pinnacle of the temple, and he said to Jesus, this is the devil speaking. Jesus, the devil said to Jesus, "If you are the Son of God, cast yourself out, toward the ground, and God will send his angels to pick you up." And then the third one is he took him to the highest point in the entire world, showed him all the kingdoms in their glory, and the devil said to Jesus, "All of this could be yours if you were just to bow down and worship me." That's the temptation of Jesus in a nutshell. Don't ask me what kind of nutshell. It doesn't really matter. So why was Jesus tempted? It's a fair question to ask if you don't understand the point of perfect God going through some sort of test. Now usually, whenever somebody is tested for anything, whether it's a little math test or some sort of test of endurance or even a blood test, usually the reason that the test is given is to give some sort of evaluation or an assessment of what they're capable of doing. And it's still fair to say that Jesus' temptation was an assessment. The question that you need to ask yourself is, who was the assessment for? We know the assessment was of Jesus, but to whom is the assessment being given or shared with? I really tried to avoid ending that sentence in a preposition. Oh well. But the thing is that Jesus is perfect. Jesus is currently without sin. He always has been, and he always will be. Between Jesus and God, there was never any question as to whether or not Jesus was perfect. God already knew Jesus was perfect and always will be perfect. Jesus already knew that Jesus was perfect and always will be. So why would Jesus have to be tempted? If you already knew that he was going to pass, why tempt him? Here's why. First, I'm going to go to Scripture, because Scripture is always a good place to start with. In Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 through 16, it explains why. Seeing then that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. That's it right there. Jesus, being our great high priest, he put himself through that time of being tempted by the devil. Because not only was he tempted in every way, as we are, he was hungry, he was thirsty, he was tired, he was lonely, he was hot. And in all ways, he was able to relate to every single human being on the earth while he was on earth. I mean, have you ever been tired? Guess what? Jesus knows what that feels like to be tired. You ever been hungry? Jesus knows what it feels like. So when you come boldly before the Lord, you can't say to Jesus, you don't know what it's like to go through what I'm going through. Because guess what? He did. He did that so you can relate to him much better. In the same way, even with police that are in the academy training to learn how to do all of the defense measures and things like that, how to shoot a gun, how to pepper spray, and how to do all sorts of takedowns and so on and so forth. They actually are subjected to every single approach that they're taught to use on people. So if they're taught how to karate chop somebody on the wrist, they get it done to them full force. They have the metal rod to hit somebody with. They get hit by it. They get hit enough to where they understand what it really feels like, full force. They get hit with pepper spray. I mean, they'll line up at the academy and just They have everything done to them except getting shot with a bullet. Why? So that if there's any kind of complaint brought to the police officer, they cannot say, you don't know what it feels like to have this done to me, officer. Because guess what? The officer does. So, my friends, that is exactly why Jesus was tempted. He was in no way imperfect. He was always completely perfect in every way. There was never any question, but the purpose of him being tempted and to come through the temptation victorious and without sin was for our benefit. So, thank you all for watching. As always, feel free to send me any questions that you may have, and I would be more than happy to answer them. I thoroughly enjoy it every time. So, see you next week. Until then, fight until the bell rings. Remember, nobody is unsavable. Anyone on this earth who has breath in their lungs is capable of being saved through the power of Jesus Christ. So thank you all for continuing to watch this video series and supporting the Southpaw Soapbox Evangelism Training Academy. If this ministry has in any way been a blessing to you, please help support us in our cause. You can like us on Facebook, Southpaw Soapbox. You can follow us on Twitter at SCF Ministry, or you can go to our website at scfministry.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. It's just a simple little newsletter with all of my resources for the week right into your inbox. It's a great resource, and it has blessed many people and really changed their lives to help them become a heavy hitter for the gospel and to be able to fight until the bell rings.
The time has passed too. You gave me all the time in the world, the Father went for you. So I'ma keep it real and ride with the Lord. So help me die with the Lord. Mortify the flesh by the Spirit poured out of my life, cause there's a Christ in his name. Jesus died on the cross for me so that my life could be changed. And he could break the chains of every sin and addiction so that I can focus on his holiness, the gift that I've been given.